Hey there, I'm Stella and welcome to the Block 101 podcast, where you'll find the brightest minds and projects from the emerging tech industry. Today, I have the pleasure to speak with Sandi Bitenc. Sandi is a serial entrepreneur and the CEO of 3Year. He's working on bringing blockchain and DeFi to the next billion. He's a true IT geek at heart, and a fun fact about him, he holds a world record in 24-hour apnea diving. Let's jump in. Hi, Sandi. Thank you so much for making it to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you. And thank you for having me on.
So yeah, Sandi, tell us about 3Year.
Yeah, so with 3Year, what we're trying to achieve is, first of all, we want to connect the people that don't have the internet connection. And then we want to streamline the whole process of getting them a digital bank account, digital identity, some financial services, some tools, and also revenue streams. So kind of trying to get into the space of the connecting the unconnected, banking the unbanked, and with it, empowering them.
Mm-hmm. And you're mostly in Africa at the moment, right?
So our project is focused 100% on Africa at this moment in time. It does not mean that at one point we won't be looking outside, but you cannot do everything. So we need to have a focus, and our technology is perfectly suited to bring connectivity where there's no infrastructure. And Africa actually has the lowest broadband penetration in the world, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, that's an amazing market, and I'll go back to that in a few minutes because I have a lot of questions regarding Africa and the penetration there. But I think what's really amazing about this project is how neat it is, because I was reading recently what the UN said, that according to them, 1 in 3 people around the world have never used the internet. For us, I mean, we're using it absolutely every day, so maybe it's a little bit hard to imagine. But in your opinion, what challenges do you think traditional internet providing services are facing? Why? How come there's such a low number of people having used the internet around the world?
It's, just talking globally about it, each region has its specific issues. Right. And you have regions that have more connectivity and you have regions that have less connectivity. And, I can speak about Africa a bit because we have been doing some work there. So I know a bit how, what the actual issue there is. And the main issue is that there is no cable infrastructure. So broadband right now at this moment in time is still based on cables. You just cannot go around it. Now, there's a lot of mobile connectivity going around right now, but it's not on par. It's not real true broadband. And you cannot do everything with the mobile connection. And also the mobile connections, they're usually unstable, they're slow. And for real broadband, as already said, you need cables, and the cables are lacking. So, also when the cities really, I think in Africa, when the cities started expanding so fast, nobody was at that moment in time thinking about laying the cable infrastructure. So right now, everything grew so much out of proportion. Just imagine going there and stopping some roads that are either way totally overcrowded, and then start digging trenches, laying cables there. It's almost impossible, and it requires huge amounts of capital, and it required a lot of time. So we're talking decades there, right? So that's a bit of a problem. And then on the other side, if you're not, if you're looking a bit outside of the cities and you're going a bit more into rural areas, they're like vast lands where you need to bridge it then with cables, and it's a lot of mountains, it's maybe a desert, it's a rainforest. Then digging this up, it's also not really commercially viable. So that are the major issues why I think that specifically in Africa this number isn't higher and isn't getting higher fast enough. 2 years ago, the World Bank estimated that Africa would need a $100 billion investment and more than a decade to actually get the broadband infrastructure on par. So that's
100 billion.
100 billion. Yeah.
This is huge. This is huge. But so how is Trier overcoming these challenges? Because your technology doesn't use any cables, right? Maybe you'd like to elaborate on how do you do that?
Yeah, so what we can do is, it's hard to say that we don't use any cables, right? We do need to connect to the water cables, the ones that are going between the continents. And actually, Africa is pretty good with those. So, you have those undersea cables that are coming and penetrating quite well Africa, but then the last mile actually is lacking. And for the last mile, we don't need cables. So we set up our base stations, and then we can beam a signal of up to 50 kilometers around this base station. And our speeds are true broadband. So they go up to 1 gigabit per second. And we can connect around 15,000 people on one base station. So in Sierra Leone, we actually done it. In Freetown, we have 2 base stations right now that are working, and with those 2 we are actually covering over 90% of Freetown. And what this does, first of all, it makes a whole area connected very quickly. So we set up the 2 base stations, and been fully operational in Sierra Leone within 6 months of when we started the investment there. So there's no decades long of connecting. So we literally can do it within 6 months. And the costs are like fractional of what traditional businesses need, traditional telecoms, because we don't need to dig trenches. Those are then the biggest obstacle and the biggest cost drivers, let's say it like this. So for instance, for covering one big city traditional way, you would probably need around $200-300 million. And we can do it for around 10 to 15 million. So a fraction of a cost and a fraction of time.
Yeah, this is super impressive. Super impressive. You said how many months to connect the whole city of Freetown? I mean, 90% of the city, which is already huge.
Yeah. So we are covering 90%. We didn't connect 90% of the city's population, right?
All right.
But 90% of the city is covered. So if somebody wants a connection there, they can come to us and they can get it. And that was done in 6 months. 6 months.
In 6 months.
Yes.
6 months. Very, very impressive.
From start to finish. To the first connected client, it was 6 months.
And so what's the process to connect a city like that? Where do you even start?
So first of all, we usually work in parallel. So we need to search for investors. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. The other thing, we need to start talking with the regulators there, because we do need to be a regulated entity. We need to hold an ISP license. And
in each country where you operate, you need to be a regulated entity. Okay.
So there is no internet without regulation at the moment in time. So you cannot be an official internet provider and not have a license. And each country has its own regulations. So we need a license in each country. So and then we also go and look for places that are most viable for us. So we need to do some radio planning, because we are using the radio frequencies, right? So we need to see how the landscape actually looks, where we can position the base stations in strategic places to really get the most out of the coverage. And then once these three steps can be done in parallel. So once this is done, we have the investment, we have the licenses, and we've planned it out. Then we send our team to on ground where they start training the local team. We're always utilizing locals to in Sierra Leone, for instance, we're employing, I think, over 100 people already right now. So we are always working with local teams. We send out our best teams down to train, and then we move to the next country. So this is kind of how we.
I love that. Right. I love that, because not only you're providing people with the internet and entertainment and banking and all of that, but you also provide them with employment. Exactly. And that's why I really love this project, man. It's so ambitious. I can really see this as a super life-changing project for the many people that will benefit it.
I also truly believe and really hope that it is like this. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, that's funny because the first time we spoke, I had a little bit of an understanding about the project, but then I dove in deeper, obviously, for this interview. And I was like, man, this is awesome. This is really huge what you're doing. And
also, I need to say that a lot of people just, you know, right now we have this problem that nobody really takes the time to learn something, right? If it doesn't jump right at you, it's a problem. And our project isn't like so easy to understand. That's a bit of a problem. You need to take some time to really read about it and educate yourself. But
that's
usually
true.
when somebody takes time, they really find it amazing. And it
exactly. The potential is just huge. And I think what you say is really true, especially when it comes to blockchain. I think it's because now there's a little bit of a saturation. We hear the word blockchain so much that we don't necessarily always kind of try to go beyond that. And either it scares people or it's a buzzword these days. So yeah.
I kind of agree. Yeah, you're right. For sure these days when the markets are down.
Yes, for sure. And actually, what's the use of blockchain? Because we have not mentioned the word blockchain even once since we started the interview, but I guess it's also a big part of your project. What is the role of blockchain, and also what you're doing? Couldn't this be achieved without a blockchain?
So up to the point that we were speaking right now, there was actually no blockchain involved, to be honest. But blockchain comes, and it's also, you know, we've been doing so many things. If you just, what is blockchain being built for? It was built for providing financial services, but you know, financial services can be provided the other way. Traditionally, you don't need blockchain for this, right? We've been doing it for years and years. Blockchain just makes it better. So it's not, I don't think the right question is if you can do it without blockchain. The question is, can you do it better with blockchain? That's the question, I think, and I'm pretty sure we can. And there are a few things where blockchain is actually pretty much needed. So, but how it started with us in blockchain is that in Sierra Leone, we ran into some issues that are maybe a bit specific to emerging economies and Africa. So first, the thing is that a lot of people come into our offices trying to pay with cash. And running a subscription-based service, it's really hard to deal each month with the same customers with cash if they cannot pay remotely. So this is one thing that we were starting to look into, solutions where we can provide something that people can literally pay from home. And we tried a lot of things. We sent out people to collect money and then they got robbed, and you know, really crazy stuff. And the second one was with identities. You know, still, again, in Sierra Leone, a lot of people still come into our offices. They don't have a valid or they don't have a identity at all. No means of identification. So they come with, you know, handwritten papers with their names and such stuff. So this is also something where we see that blockchain will, in the future, play a major role in identification. So we built our own ID solution on the blockchain. And for the payment systems, of course, we looked into blockchain and crypto payments. So then you need to think about how you onboard people to crypto, because it's also not so easy if they don't understand, right? So we were thinking, okay, we need to provide them with some easy onboarding solutions. So there is no way around it at the start for custodial wallets. So we give them an option, custodial or non-custodial, they can choose. We are providing fiat onboarding and offloading ramps. And again, if we want to go, you know, solve the issue of people needing to pay with cash, we need to be able, in a sense, to take in cash. So we are a part of a peer-to-peer cash to crypto project that's going on in Africa right now. So that's also something really, really cool. And then, as said, we do want to provide financial tools and the revenue streams. And one of the revenue streams is actually bound to our telecom. And what we are doing is, you know, how I explained you, a connection that goes through our base stations to the end user. We are allowing the end user to share that connection and earn some revenue on it. So they can actually set up their own access points. And then the access points connect one to the other, and they create a seamless mesh network. So you literally can walk into that area with your phone and connect with the Wi-Fi, and then you get a shared connection from somebody else. So, and with this, the end user actually helping us expand the infrastructure, faster and more effective. And on the other side, they can also earn some revenue on it. So this is where blockchain actually comes into play, because it's really hard to create an ecosystem that's self-awarding and regulating if you cannot use something that's as trustworthy and trustless as the blockchain.
Okay. So just hold on to make sure that I understood, because I'm not sure if I got that last part with the users being able to help you expand the network. So basically, when you cover a zone, you can also have some users acting kind of as nodes and provide internet to other people.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like one user comes to us, gets a really high speed connection from us, and then he can connect, the users in his area with sharing the, openly his internet connection.
I see. Awesome. I didn't know that one.
Yeah. It's kind of you can think about it like a Uber of broadband somehow, right? So Uber, they're just providing the platform, and everyone else just owns the whole infrastructure. So the end user actually holds the car and does, provides the services and so on. So we are kind of in this part, but we do provide the really high speed, high level internet, and then we allow everyone else to share it between themselves. Okay,
I see. And back to Africa. So you mentioned you're very Africa focused, which makes sense given the demographics and the need there for such a platform. So you mentioned you're active in Sierra Leone. What other countries are you developing in?
So right now we are looking into DRC and Ethiopia. We have a lot of connection in Nigeria also, and Nigeria is one of the markets that we are really looking forward to in the future. And then there are just down the road, once we do this, there are also some other countries, and we'll probably go either in the ones that we have the most connections. And unfortunately, it's still a lot of lobbying that needs to be done on the governmental level to get in, or where we are the most needed, right? Where the internet connection is the weakest and the least accessible.
For sure. And so what advice would you give to entrepreneurs who are thinking of establishing activities there? And also, what kind of future do you see?
I think, the future of blockchain is really bright wherever in the world, but I think Africa will lead the way. At least it looks like it right now. I think there is the most need for it. Now there's the biggest part of the unbanked population is in Africa, still of the world. So that's the first use case why it actually was built for. So I think a lot of people are using it already for remittances payments and so on, because it does make a lot of sense there. So I see that, and also just last year, or is it now already a year and a half ago, I think Nigeria was the one that had the highest adoption rate, blockchain adoption rate in the world. So, and we see that a lot, to be honest, in Africa. So I think Africa can really come out on top, because they'll be the ones adopting a new technology that's going to be revolutionary for the whole world and all businesses, and they can come up on top of this.
Another question that I would like to ask regarding Africa is, what advice would you like to give to entrepreneurs who are thinking of establishing activities there? What are the main kind of differences that you see with the Western world, the challenges maybe, and how to overcome them?
So, I see two major challenges there. And one is the cultural differences. It's how people think about work, how they think about time. And specifically when we talk about time, I was recently in South Africa, and they literally have their now and just now. So and everything is a bit different. So one means like, yeah, maybe somewhere around now, and then the other one is in 15 minutes, and the next one is in 2 hours. And it happens a lot that you set up a meeting somewhere, and then that meeting just doesn't happen for 2 hours later, or maybe even 2 days later sometimes, and it's normal. I think that's a huge barrier, because it drives the productivity down, because you cannot, you focus your time on something else that doesn't happen in the end. So, and then you need to again spend some time on it, and again spend some time on it. So that's a major, still a major issue, I think. And these things need to change a bit. And the other one is there's still a lot of corruption on the governmental level. So it's really hard to do business, because it can happen and you have a business today and tomorrow you don't have it anymore, and it's not your fault. So you need to really be careful about how you go about that.
Mm-hmm. And so what advice would you give to kind of overcome those challenges?
I think, first of all, you always need to work with somebody that's local, that knows the culture, that has the connections there, that knows how things are working. So really find somebody who can help you locally. And you asked me about how to go about it. Probably if you are coming from the Western world, let's say it like this, right? So this would be for someone who is coming from the Western world. But for the locals, they should know that already and be able to work around it. For them, I would say, look for communities that support you, because there's a lot of, in Africa, I see a lot of communities forming and giving a lot of support. So if you look around it a bit and trying to do something in blockchain, I know that Kenya has such a crazy good supporting community. Just find the right people that will support you. They'll gladly do it, and then take it on from there.
Beautiful. Thank you for the advice. Just jumping back, I was smiling when you were talking about the time issue, because in my country, in Gabon, we have a saying. We say French people have watches, but African people have time. And I think this is so accurate. I can totally relate to this issue. Back to 3Air, can you tell us a little bit more about the user journey? So let's say I'm an inhabitant of Freetown, or maybe of a city in Ethiopia. How do I get access to all of this? Not only the internet, but also the other services and products that you provide. So entertainment, hardware ownership, identity, banking, and all of that. How does it start?
Okay. So first of all, we are not live with all the things yet. What we are providing right now is the high-level, high-speed internet. We are providing digital TV, and we are providing IP telephony services right now. And you can find us in Sierra Leone. If you search for K3, there is a huge sign up on a hill where you see actually K3 Telecom. So the best is right now just find us in our offices and talk to us directly, or you can go to our website and take it on from there if you can. But usually, if you want internet, you'll probably want to come to us first. So once we are adding the blockchain components to it and opening up the connectivity NFTs. By the way, 3Air already has a working NFT platform. We are right now integrating cross-chain, and we're right now integrating the connectivity NFTs also. So what you would do is you would go to app.3air.io. You would log in there. And then the first step would be to get a digital identity from us, and that will be guided through our app. And then you will request a internet connection there in the app, because we do need to come and connect you. So that's the first thing. And then once you're connected, you will go and buy an NFT that gives you connectivity, and plug it into your devices. We'll bring you the devices there. And of course, all the way, we are also educating everyone. We have our offices there. You can always talk to us. There'll be a lot of educational material provided just to help onboarding. And we are really trying to have a as easy and streamlined onboarding process as possible. Then in the app, you'll have the option to become a access node operator. So you'll just click there and apply for the access node operator. And if you're just a regular user or somebody visiting a country, and you literally walk into our coverage of the access nodes, you'll just take your phone out and connect to the Wi-Fi. It will look similarly as connecting to a public Wi-Fi, let's say it like this. Shouldn't be hard.
Okay, and how long does it take before you get the internet and the TV, the entertainment at least? So
in Sierra Leone, if you are in an area that we are covering right now, it should not take more than 2 to 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it should be really quickly.
That's insane. That's really insane. Well, thank you, Sandi. Thank you so much for this interview and all the questions. I have one last question though. What's the best way to keep up with you guys' work, to follow you and your updates?
Yeah, so probably the best is just to go to our website. That's 3air.io. There are all the links there that you actually need, but we have our app that you can connect, and also go to our NFT marketplace. That's on app.3air.io. We have a lot of documentation. There's over 130 pages of documentation on docs.3air.io. We have our blog on blog.3air.io. And then, of course, we are covering all the major social channels. We are really active in Telegram. I'm also a lot present in our Telegram group. We are present on Twitter, on Discord, I think on TikTok, all the Instagram, on all those major social channels. And I would really be happy if anyone listening can come and join and like and subscribe and whatever you need to do. That really helps us go forward.
We'll also make sure that all the links are in the description of this episode. So thank you so much, Sandi, for your time. And thanks to our viewers for tuning in. This was the AIBC podcast.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.